That snowstorm hit pretty hard, but so did the plows. Tonight in Independence, the streets are clear after a very slippery day. In Kansas, more than 25,000 people have received the second dose of the vaccine in long-term care. Only a few communities like this one are allowing visitors, and only under strict conditions. One lifelong Chiefs fan might go through an identity crisis this weekend. That's because someone's coming to town that shares something in common with him. Namely, his name. You know, one common complaint I hear down here in Tampa is that it's really difficult to find good barbecue. This restaurant we're talking about has developed sort of a cult following among Kansas Cityans who now live in Tampa and just kind of want that little taste of home. We're seeing Tampa from a different point of view today, from a boat with a bunch of rowdy Chiefs fans. According to the city's damage report, more than 3/4 of the roof collapsed, which weakened the rest of the building. Turkey Creek fills up awfully fast when it rains. In 1998, it got all the way up into some of the businesses in downtown Merriam. The Army Corps of Engineers and other groups have been studying it ever since, and they say building a levee along the creek would help lower that risk. Every year, it gets harder and harder to find lifeguards to work at community pools, but the pandemic has made it more difficult than ever to find the right people for the job. The new section will create a 17-mile stretch of trail through Jackson County, and eventually it could go much, much farther. In January, Livingston County had around 240 cases per 100,000 people. By March, that number had dropped to 12. In May, that number surged to 286. So far in June, they've had 233, but the county health department says that's starting to go down. This year, there's also a virtual scavenger hunt challenge where you can visit some local landmarks, take a picture or selfie, and tweet it out. The diner didn't advertise it was reopening outside of a Facebook post this morning and a sign out front. But in Lawrence, word travels fast.
What the city's expecting now in this week ahead. Nathan?
Well, the good news is that the river that causes a lot of these problems is starting to go down. We have the drone up so we can give you kind of this bird's eye view of the Meridazine River. Now, if you look at this bridge back there, that was closed a couple days ago because the water was just up too high. Brad, the good news is that most families in Excelsior Springs now have their electricity back, but there is a massive cleanup ahead. I mean, just look at this tree. It just got ripped apart by the wind. There's a lot of places like this throughout the town. And another challenge is access to fresh food. River will do this again on Saturday and Sunday, collecting as many signatures as they can from people who want to show their support. Most of the fair takes place outdoors where the risk for spread is minimal, but health officials say you should still take precautions like washing your hands. Most of the focus on hemp has been on products like CBD oil, but the industry is starting to turn to another part of the plant, the fibers, as a source of untapped potential. It can take a couple hours to charge a vehicle. That's why these solar stations work well in places like this, where you can get out of your car and go inside to read a book or use the computer. Roland Park will have to start the season with scaled back hours because of a widespread shortage of lifeguards to watch the pool. The St. Luke's congregation formed in 1862. They built this church in 1910. It's one of the oldest AME churches in the state of Kansas, and for decades, it's been a local pillar of the civil rights movement. After the city uncovered the bricks, they decided to hold off on the project. Right now, they're trying to find out more about them and figure out what to do with them. Some owners might look at the market and see an opportunity at the door. But even selling a home at a premium brings new challenges as a buyer or renter. To keep their inventory stocked up, some dealers are buying used cars more aggressively. That means if you have one you're looking to sell, now might be a good time to do it. Kansas City is quickly growing as a good place to drive an electric car. Now, the city says its own fleet is making the switch. A low inventory doesn't mean you won't get behind the wheel of your dream car, but it might mean you have to spend more time searching and comparing prices. Now that Garnett has his truck shining like new again, he's ready to show it to the world. And this week, he's doing just that.
As Nathan Vickers joins us live with a closer look at all this damage. Nathan?
Brad, there's about 20 tombstones that now look like this. They've been pushed off their base, and it could take thousands of dollars to lift them back into place. Now, the descendants of the people buried here say these are some of the county's first pioneer graves. Pleasant Valley is a small, partly volunteer fire department, but they wanted to do something big, to remember those lost 20 years ago. These days, the university keeps the house closed to the public. They've had problems with break-ins and vandalism, and they say the inside is pretty deteriorated. The ducks are part of West's urban farm. She also grows a lot of native plants and berries. And she says for her, part of this is about living sustainably. That mortar was live. When they blew it, it left this hole in the ground. It's about 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep. These wipes are great for cleaning and hygiene, but a lot of times their strong fibers don't break down very well in water. That's why the only thing you should be putting down a toilet is toilet paper. It's not just about the stolen merchandise. The company says in the last 6 months, they've spent more than $20,000 on new security measures, like these concrete barriers. The Southwest baggage claim area tells a story all in itself. Look at all of these bags that made it here without their owners because their flights were rerouted or canceled altogether. Like everything else, hangars cost money, and they've been getting more expensive. To help keep prices low, they're asking customers for help. During the pandemic, people became more interested in Keston's products. This year, the farm raised around 200 turkeys, more than they ever have before. The latest and greatest phones and laptops might be a little harder to find this year. As a result, some consumers are looking for alternative upgrades. Belton police are exploring a safer way to monitor heavy traffic here along I-49. They're looking to the skies to track problem drivers taking this stretch too aggressively. One Pair Casey has a unique business model. They clean and sell high-end sneakers like these Jordans, and it's all done by a collective of teens who are learning valuable business and life skills. But on Tuesday night, thieves put all that in jeopardy. Bob Dole once called himself the most optimistic man in America. Today, the Dole Institute of Politics is celebrating that optimism as they remember his legacy. There's been an incredible amount of work here in Westport. They put out these barricades today to kind of protect drivers and to protect people. And they've been shoring up that building to make sure those little bricks and pieces don't continue to fall down and injure people. And of course, they're trying to keep people out of this area as much as possible. The Strawberry Hill neighborhood is growing and thriving, and she wants to show off all the creativity and talent that lives here.
KCTV5's Nathan Vickers is live tonight there to show us how it's been going today. I know it's been busy earlier today. How's it going tonight, Nathan?
Brad, it's still busy, even though the clinic is supposedly supposed to shut down at around 6 o'clock, but they still have those gates open back there. There's still a line of cars waiting to get in, but all day long it's just been this steady stream of people concerned about the holiday gatherings and the surge in cases and everything else that led them to this site today.